I've seen that, heard that. I mean,
Not so
my
much.
my original thing was just me talking about whatever I wanted to. Because when I first started Shady Do Rags, it was I was struggling in school, and I was like, I quit my old channel, and I was like, I can't focus on the channel like I want to, but I need a creative outlet. So I just made whatever I wanted, and then once had the goal of making Shady Do Rags like a career thing, that's when I started looking at what I could focus on.
Yeah.
With us, it's like kind of had a tiny bit of identity crisis because we went from like film. We still do film analysis, but we then pivoted last year. We pivoted a lot more towards let's plays. We did the Baldur's Gate uh series, which still hasn't even fully come out. Uh, and then now it's just now it's just kind of like an in between where it's like, all right, we live stream talking about this kind of stuff, and then while playing video games, like uh, like we were in the middle. We're supposed to get back to our Silent Hill 2 playthrough, but that hasn't picked up in a while. Here's the link, by the way. We're live now, by the way. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, hold on, let
so
me do it right. Hey, hello, how do you do? There you go.
they said the thing. Yeah. Jake, it's been a while since we've just sat here and talked about media, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been for the live stream. Normally we just stream video games, and the last time we did an episode was Project Hail Mary, which I was a part of, but I didn't watch the movie.
Yeah, yeah. And then there, like, I did like the Motor City review, which is still coming out. I keep forgetting to slap the thumbnail on it and then hit go. Uh, so let's see. Uh, so it's been a while. Shady, would you like to reintroduce yourself to everybody?
Greetings, I am Shady Durangs. I am a YouTuber, mostly known for reviewing animation. More recently, it's more nostalgic animation, but I have dipped my toe into other things, other more recent things.
Yes. So recently, a season of a television show in which the three of us enjoy, recently came
Yes.
out. Well, it's a
Yes.
little series. I don't think you've heard of it, Shady, called King of the Hill.
Oh, sounds fascinating. Tell me about it.
So, I guess before we begin, like, so we didn't really talk about season 14. I meant to get that scheduled, and then it kind of just fell through. Uh, so what were your impressions for the most part of season 14 before we continue this?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
My impressions of season 14 was that it was a good continuation of the show. It could have been better, but it certainly could have been worse. I've seen various degrees of continuations slash reboots when it comes to shows. I think the show could have, thinking of season 14 by itself, it could go in a positive direction and it could go in a negative direction. Um, yeah, that's about the gist of it.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah,
Yep.
the various changes, like, I how'd you feel about the voice actors changing over? Because it went from the person who voiced Cotton to voicing Dale and Khan, if I remember correctly. That was because unfortunately with the guy who voiced Dale passed away like halfway through recording, I believe.
So with the voices, varying degrees. I think Joseph is fine. Um, I think um, Chang is fine. I think Joseph and Chang are fine. I think Ted is ignorable. I think he's bad, but he's ignorable. Um, Dale, I think, is probably the worst voice acting in the show. It pains me to say that, but
Yeah.
the voice acting, it sounds like someone pretending to be an older version of Dale rather than actually Dale. And Khan, I think, is just awful. I think it's
Yeah.
distractingly awful how
It
bad
is.
Oh
It,
Khan is.
yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
voice acting isn't necessarily bad. It's just that's an iconic voice from the show, and he is not the person doing it doesn't at all sound like that character.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's not great.
especially because like they have the person who already voiced Khan, like they still have him in the booth, like because like when we had the Good Hank episode, like because the guy who voiced Cotton was the voice actor for Khan, like they had him there. Why they didn't just think to just have him like, hey, get back in the booth and voice your original character was beyond me.
Yeah.
But like there weren't that many. I don't think we had any complaints over for the most part season 14, and if they were pretty much just like why are we kind of going a little bit back to status quo, like trying to get Bobby and Connie back together, which was
I have sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I have major complaints. It's just that I also have major praises. Like my biggest complaint with season 14 was the divorce of Khan and Min. I felt like that was just completely out of character for them to do, especially since they were showing signs that they hated each other, and I was like, this was one of the most in sync couples in the original show. I just cannot buy that they hate each other now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
season
like
15 reveals more about that, but just sticking strictly with season 14, I absolutely hated that, and I still hate that about season 14.
Yeah, when you really think
Yeah.
about their relationship, it and like she stuck with him through like the car wash when they went through the redneck phase, when he damn near got into like a street fight. Like they were like, the more you think about it, they were ride or die.
Yeah. It's like you have two awful people that are like a perfect match for each other.
Now, I do want to be somewhat fair. There is there's a theory about how, if you look at the original series, men seem to be prepared for divorce. I saw this when I watched Squirrel Tactics video on Min, and there's good evidence that she was prepared for divorce, and that maybe she had to get married due to having Connie. I just don't buy that she hates the hatred. I do not buy. I can believe she was ready for one in case it happened. I don't buy that she hates Khan as much as they seem to show her hating Khan.
Oh yeah, and the hatred kind of seems to go both ways, because during like it is kind of insane, like how he gets this house. They move to the middle of Texas. They finally get divorced, and he's just it was just season 14 alone is forced to just sleep in the garage and just put on this guise of trying to remain a normal couple.
And they show him as though like he didn't want it to happen. And that's what was giving me the vibe in season 14, that someone just hated Khan, because it's like, oh, he was the breadwinner of their family, but he's living in the garage. He is sad about the divorce. Min's not sad about the divorce. She's just she's just ashamed of it, but she's not sad about it. And he is the one that is like packing up and moving out. And I'm like, does somebody just hate Khan? Like, I really feel like that's the case. Like, again, just looking at season 14, season 15, I do have some slightly different thoughts. But it's just so out there how bad that the divorce of the Super Nuisance is.
Yeah, especially considering, if I'm remembering it correctly, Min chose Khan, who was like a counterculture bad boy, like over like potential more like a more stable life. She chose him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that she says she chose him out of a big reason she chose him was out of rebellion. So it could be more of passion than love.
True.
If we're looking at that by itself. But looking at the entire series, I believe it's love, because Redneck on Rainy Street, they seem to be in love. There are lots of episodes where they seem to be in love, even when they get on each other's nerves.
Exactly. And then we'll probably have a lot more to talk about Khan in season 15.
Yeah. Khan is one biggest issue with the revival series. Yeah, that's pretty much hits the nail on the head. I think with a lot of the stuff being a logical through end, Bobby having the restaurant was probably one of my favorite aspects of the the revival, I was like, yes, we're taking the through line from pretty much the last episode, and we're just running with it, which is what a lot more shows I think should do, because there's so many times where when they do a revival and they essentially just like, all right, we're back on the air, time to get everybody back to square one. It's like, no, like these people have lived their lives. It's time to we go from there. Hence why they made the big change of moving Hank and Peggy to Saudi Arabia. Like they that's why they did everything that they did, and hence some of my issues that would later be with season 15.
Bobby is one of like the fan favorites. Like I have yet to see anyone seriously say that they don't like what happened with Bobby, myself included. I love Bobby in the revival. I love most of the stuff they're doing with him. So yeah, I can agree with that take. Although another major issue I have is with the Manosphere episode. I did a whole video on that one. I hate that episode so freaking much.
Yeah,
you kind of forget about that. That's like the episode of season 14 that I forgot the most about, despite having one of my favorite endings. Because
I'm good with the very last ending and the kind of message.
Yeah, the very last scene is great. The rest of it, we can just forget happened.
Well, yeah, because like him finally essentially saying, like in his own way, saying goodbye to Cotton was probably my favorite thing in the entire episode. Wasn't the garbage bag last season though? Sorry, I don't know the episodes by name. That's on me. Hold on, as I pull
garbage bag. I think they're talking about the scene where Joseph jumps into the garbage bag. Is that?
During the beer episode. That's one of my favorite bit. Which shows like the connection. Again, showing how the logical through line of Joseph has become such a much of a conspiracy nut, like his dad. That's like, oh yeah, we need to get out of here. He just throws himself into a garbage bag and just sits by the side of the road.
And he's so smooth with it too. Like that's what gets everybody. It's
practice.
Flawless execution. A flawless execution of jumping into that bag.
Yeah.
One of the things I actually kind of had a bit of a problem with, I really wanted Willow to stay. I wish they had not done what they did at the last second, so that then they could enforce him trying to get back together with Connie. It felt so weird because, I don't know, I just didn't vibe with college-aged Connie, and more with what Willow was saying, especially her comment about the open relationships. It's just an excuse for people to get free dick, and it's like, yeah, that made me laugh, and then just out of nowhere she shits on a desk.
Yeah, she
Go ahead.
Weird.
Oh, and also feeding Hank. That was weird.
Yeah, that was incredibly weird. Or like kissing Bobby right during dinner,
and climbing on top of the table. They did everything they could to make her seem as weird as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Well, hold on. Willow has this design on her that makes me just biasly not like her. But I think they did a good job creating an interesting character, and I was curious to see where they were going to take her. So it was very disappointing that they just decided to abandon her. That with the storytelling they were going for, that didn't make any sense. I genuinely feel like maybe something happened with the voice actress, because it seemed like she was just ripped out of the story. But if it was to like hammer home that they want Connie and Bobby to get together, Connie I have issues with, but I think her character could be used to tell good stories. The only time I really like Connie is adult Connie. I love child Connie, but the only time I like adult Connie, don't take that out of context. The only time
FBI, open up!
The only time I like adult Connie is when she gets really adorkable, which she has to be on hospital narcotics to do that. But I think that's a really fun character. But I think the character that she has become, even whether I like her or not, is really interesting. And I think she works with Bobby and Joseph. Just putting her with Bobby is, it's not bad, but it's not that interesting. Like Willow was more interesting of a person to put with Bobby, especially considering how different she is from Hank and Peggy. And
Yeah.
she, with her typical mindset, she could go on a lot of adventures with Peggy, who is more liberal than Hank is, and open up a can of worms with her. So yeah, I say I agree with you. I with how they treated Willow. You know, I'm not sad to see her go, but I think they had something good that they let go.
I think they could
Yeah.
have. I think they could have at least like in this season at least probably had like a moment in which it's like, oh hey, I haven't seen you in like a while. How are you doing? And then like we have the dynamic between like a Bobby who has essentially chosen Connie over her. Uh, so that raises the question as to when and why Joseph did it. Oh, the garbage bag. They've clearly lived enough of a life that with Dale being who he is, he could have easily. It's like, hey, yeah, here's how you get into a garbage bag really fast. Or and also, like Joseph is just Joseph. He's always been more physically capable than his dad.
Yes. Like, well, yeah. I mean, have you seen who his biological father is? We'll get to him.
Uh, so let's see. What other complaints would I, or even things I would have? Yeah, there was Willow. I think Bill somehow got worse
Yeah,
because
they
the whole I pretending Peggy is my fake wife so I can appease this barber shop that I go to from time to time was so bizarre. It's like I could imagine Bill would do that, but like he would be more of a spur of the moment type deal, not this like ongoing lie.
I can imagine him doing that. I would just think the other characters would put a firm stop to it. I don't like that the episode decided to not only let him get away with it, but to have Peggy encourage it. I'm not going to say it's out of character for Peggy because he was praising her at the time, but I think there is something that should have interrupted that. Like somebody should have been the bigger person and said, doesn't matter how we feel, this is wrong to have
Yeah.
this many people believe this lie, which Hank was doing, but he thought Peggy would put a stop to it and she didn't. I would say the that episode subjectively is what is probably like the worst episode. Like it makes me the angriest. A lot of people feel that it's just the worst episode. I think the Manosphere episode is objectively the worst one because I think they break way more storytelling rules in that episode. But subjectively, yeah, I got way more angry at uh my Peggy's Fade Out. My brain was trying to remember the
Yeah.
title of the episode. Peggy's Fade
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
I think the episode on a subjective level that really bothered me was Sounder Investment, the season 14 finale, because it's just like I don't know how I feel about it on an objective basis, mainly due to the fact that like I don't know how the stock market really works. But the idea that they haven't done anything and they essentially have gotten so many people to back up their boar hunting industry, and it rises and then crashes within the span of like a week. And it's like, what? Like how is like it feels like the story is actively bending for this joke. Like,
I am told by people who claim to be in the stock market, I don't know how true this is, that this is something that can happen, and it is actually realistic because Peggy selling her stock would have made it crash. I don't know if the show writers knew that, but they're saying like if a thing is rising that fast, that's actually a sign that it's probably going to crash. That one of the founders is going to sell, and one of the founders did sell. It was Peggy, and that's what makes it crash. So people are saying that that's realistic. Again, I don't know if I give the writers that much credit, but my big issue with that episode was that storytelling wise, it's not done properly. Storytelling wise, it's trying to say that in certain circumstances, Hank is right when throughout the entire episode, Peggy was right throughout the whole thing. So it's trying to give them half and half credit, but at the excuse me, but at the end it gives Hank way more credit than he deserved when he was wrong throughout the entire thing, and he just happened to luckily get right at the very end,
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that.
which isn't even his victory because that Peggy was the one who did it. Peggy was
Yeah,
the one who
and
sold her. She's just like, I heard your voice in my head when I was doing it.
in fact, they made it seem like, in fact, at the last second, Hank invests his half into the business, loses it, and because she sold, like, it's basically a net zero. But yeah, it's very much by all reality, he kind of was in the like in the wrong. I hate to say it, like that
It
way,
shows that
'cause-
Hank has no business sense because he made every
Exactly.
wrong choice, like every wrong choice throughout the episode.
Which honestly, I kind of don't believe that. Just simply because, like, I think Hank Hill would be at least halfway decent at business, just given all of his, given the fact that he was essentially running Strickland. Buck was just there. He was an owner in name only.
Well, Hank has shown that he's hesitant of taking risks. He likes
Yeah.
sensible business, which you can run a business that way. You just
it's gonna be slow.
you can cripple it by losing opportunities, quote unquote.
Right.
So Hank was running Strickland Propane, but there were moments where Buck was making the more riskier decisions because it was his company to do, and Hank was doing the day-to-day stuff, which they do go into in this season. They say Hank is a natural lieutenant rather than a natural leader.
Right.
So I can't say that's like too out of character for him to be not as good at the bigger business stuff, but I wouldn't say he's bad at business when he's been essentially a manager. Just that he doesn't know when is a good time to take risks because he will never take a risk, essentially, or virtually never take a risk.
Which is fair. Like there are people, like, hell, even I'm this way, where it's like, if the odds aren't essentially like almost up to 75%, I'm not doing it. Like,
Same. Like
It-
I don't
it-
like taking risks with business.
well, especially in this case, because we're like take it with like YouTube, we're already kind of gambling with a system that essentially is like roulette, roulette, poker, and all other gambling sport, all combined with when even if you are successful, you have to then roll the dice again and again to essentially ride that high so you can continue your success.
Exactly.
I mean, I tell aspiring YouTubers, like, treat it like a hobby first, so that way you're not really risking anything. And then when you become successful enough that you can start treating it like a business, then you can maybe take a small risk, or if it's successful enough that it's not a risk, then you start treating it like a business. You start putting money towards it and all that jazz. That's not, if you start putting money towards it in the beginning, you could still be successful. But I tell people that because there's no guarantee of success. You could do everything perfectly and get no recognition, and the person next door could do nothing right and get 1 million subscribers overnight. Like, there is a bit of luck involved.
The entirety of like shorts becoming like the mainstay of the entire platform has been a constant reminder for us for that one, because we're not only streaming like in regular format, we're also streaming vertically, and it's one of those things. We start almost every vertical stream of, why are you here? Like, why is this the preferred viewing format? Because my analytical brain is just trying to figure out, like, all right, why is this working? And like Max and Slur have repeatedly said, like, no, you're just not gonna get it, because it's almost an unrecognizable pattern by this point. So yeah, when it comes to you are onto something when it comes to like Hank and his risk taking, and let's see, I'm trying to think of like what else. The funny sort of changes, not even changes, just the little moment to moment, like New Ref in Town was such a giggle episode for me, because the idea that just because he was in like the Middle East for so long, and where like a country where where soccer is just almost everywhere, is pretty funny.
Yeah, and then like you have now. Granted, I think it is obviously a bit exaggerated, but then you have like Boomhauer and the other people in the other Texans just going, "It's soccer. Who gives a shit about the rules?"
Oh yeah, by the end of the episode, they're just like, just kick the ball around. Who gives a shit?
I like how in A New Ref in Town, I like how in that episode, Hank starts to like something that he normally wouldn't like. I like how it's done there because that's a running theme, a running motif with King of the Hill, where Hank realizes his attitude towards something might not be the best one. I like how it's done there more than how they did it in the first episode, where Hank and Peggy are trying to find a reason to stay in America. Because in the first episode, it felt like originally I felt the feels and I was like, oh, this is nice. But then I watched it again. I was like, this was very rushed. And also, I don't believe this cookie thing would convince Hank, like with the way they presented, where they're like, oh, yeah, more, this is more sensitive towards Samoans. I'm like, okay, that's not a good explanation for Hank because Hank would think Samoans shouldn't get offended anyway. You would have to explain to him more why that was offensive and why the change needed to be done. But the way they approach that episode is, oh, this is something that even someone like Hank would admit is offensive. It's like, no, no, Hank thinks a lot of things that the world finds offensive are stupid.
Yeah, like including like I remember that whole episode when they all thought Ladybird was racist, and he was trying to explain like racism to a dog. He's like, no, they shouldn't be judged by the by the color of their skin, but as he rolls the window down, but by the content of their character.
I mean, the very first episode is about Hank, people judging about how Hank yells too much, and he thinks that's incredibly stupid, but he has no choice but to like try to calm himself down because he doesn't want to lose Bobby. And so, like, there are episodes like that where Hank is in the right, and there are episodes where Hank is in the wrong. And the first episode of season 14 is trying to convince him that his perspective on America is wrong. I don't think they do a good job. I think they rush it too much.
Yeah.
Do you like what do you think of the idea that they would even leave? Like, we have the explanation in this newer season, but there is part of me that's just like, I don't think you could convince Hank Hill to leave America for an extended period of time.
I think you would have to nat 20 that persuasion roll. I think it's possible, but there would have to be a huge sell. Like, before season 15 came out, I thought Buck persuaded him to do it, like talked him into doing it. And I was like, that would make sense if Buck talked him into do it, because he just about believes anything Buck says. Like, spreading, Buck saying, we need to spread the gospel of propane across the seas, and I think you can do it, old top. That would convince Hank, but him just doing it on his own. I mean, how they do it eventually in season 15, it's not the worst, but I'm not like smiling about it either.
I actually thought that Strickland Propane burned to the ground. I was like, that's the only way you're going to be able to convince him, is the business just needs to be fucking gone.
Or like maybe Bobby needs a lot of money, and this trip is a way for Hank to get that, so Bobby can like get a loan or start up something or something like that. I believe Hank would make a sacrifice for his family if it was big enough. But the way they do it, it's not the worst. It's just I would have gone for like something slightly different, like a more bigger Hank focused push.
Yeah. Which I guess maybe that brings us to season 15.
Yes, I was about to segue into that as well. So, I guess, like, would you guys like to give like sort of an initial like thought or a rating before we go into more detail? Like, because we have notes. I at least have a bullet point note per episode. Like, because I did not like this season almost at all. I thought this season was a drastic downgrade from 14.
Yeah, same. I just kind of sometimes I actually found myself just kind of not paying attention. Not even necessarily because it was bad, but just because some of the stuff was either not funny or like it was some of this, or it was just such a massive flanderization of a character that I liked. My brain just decided to not pay attention.
I don't know if I would say drastically, but I absolutely agree with downgrade.
Mhm.
There was season 15, season 14 left me hopeful. Season 15 did not. Season 15 made me think, oh, if this is where the direction the show is going, I'm not sure if it's for me. But the original show did have bad seasons as well, so
True.
season 16 could improve. But if this made me not hopeful for it improving.
Yeah.
That's true, and it's like, yes, the original show was not flawless. I act like the famous like band episode where Luann falls in quote unquote in love with that pig farmer is. I honestly, it's like, Luann, I know you're not the brightest thing, but survival instincts of a moth, man. You need to. What are you doing? there are some pretty bad episodes with the original show. I think.
Mhm.
The problem that I was ultimately having, and as Jake and I were watching this, is that it felt like we were almost sort of like factory resetting a lot of kind of stuff. Like, so we have Connie and Bobby back together, so we're just going to do the things that they probably would have done when they were teenagers, which is really weird because they're not teenagers anymore; they're adults. In the case of like my biggest, like, that was the problem I was having with the mascot episode. Like, so she's just gonna use her boyfriend, who's running a full-time business. She's just gonna use him to like pretend to be a mascot so that she can study more. It's like, that's something I feel like Connie would have done as maybe a teenager in the original series, but I don't think she would do that as an adult.
I mean, I could kind of see her doing it as an adult, but they should have. This is something that should have. She should have. This is something her character should have been addressed with as a teenager. I still used improper grammar, uh, but like that episode has a problem that I've noticed as a running theme, which is either the wrong character improves or they don't improve. And like I was like, oh, they're Connie. Somebody else speak. I'm trying to get my thoughts together.
You're fine.
So I guess you could say, like, especially that's why I alluded to, they're adults, and Connie also, actually no, Connie choosing to be a mascot, while I wouldn't say is not believable, I would imagine she would believe it's a harder job than she initially than initially she thinks. Especially since she knows Bobby, and like I assume they would still be friends. They were still friends after they initially broke up when they were like 13, 12, 13.
Oh yeah, that's like the whole dynamic when they, like, for most of the original shows, because they were only dating for like what, 2-3 seasons max.
I believe so, and I believe that like they would have conversations about this with Bobby as mascot, and Bobby would probably be like incredibly there might, like, Bobby would have to go through his own growing pains, even though if he probably had experience being a goofy entertainer beforehand. But I would imagine she wouldn't believe it'd be like the easiest thing in the world, especially considering you're in a big suit doing a bunch of like athletic tricks and whatnot, and that gets really hot. And I don't know, for like for someone who's like who's taking multiple advanced science courses, someone who is supposedly intelligent, I think that she would understand that it's a bit more difficult, but maybe she didn't understand just how difficult it would be.
I would also argue that it's one of those things of, like, you're telling me you've never seen, like, you're telling me, like, you grew up in Arlen, Texas, and you go to Tom Landry Middle School, and then it was also Tom Landry High School, wasn't it? Like, and you never went to like a single pep rally, or you just ignored all the stuff that happened there. You'd see the mascot do his thing. Oh wait, no, the middle school totally had had a mascot because Bobby took
Yeah.
the suit.
Yes.
And so, like, the idea that she has, like, zero experience with it is just, I frankly just I don't believe it.
It's supposed, the lesson's supposed to be that she thinks she doesn't let herself fail, and as Bobby says, when she fails, she just gives up. So this was something that she failed at, but she found an out instead of giving up. And then it winds up with her being proud of failure, which is a lesson I can appreciate, because I used to talk about the fear of failure all the time because it's something I'm very susceptible to, just being afraid to do something because you're afraid of failing. But there weren't consequences. I think that's the issue I have. Connie doesn't face the consequences of failure, and without the consequences of failure, failure doesn't hurt as much. Like, she should be fired, or have the person realize that Bobby was the person in the suit and she doesn't get her college credit because she was cheating that whole time. Like, there needs to be a consequence for failure for the situation to mean something.
Oh yeah, especially because like, because my girlfriend is in a work study. There are faculty around you almost constantly. So the idea that like no one was noticing, like, hey, your performance went from like absolute crap to now you're the best. No one learns that fast, especially with something like this where you do need like a bit of charisma and panache to do properly. Let's see. Quickly pulling up the season as well, and also my notes.
If we start from the beginning, failure to Heart Lodge. I don't know if I have too much to say about that one. I just don't like. I like that they're trying to give Chain an arc, but they kind of rush it.
Like, they rush it, and
it's
then
not
also,
even an arc. It's not even an arc. Like,
I hate Chang and I hate Ted in this episode so much because you're telling me that, like, so to teach his son a lesson, he's gonna force him to work at the restaurant, or that he has no experience in, and even your head, like the person running your business is saying would be a bad idea, and because like there are some people that just aren't good at working in restaurants because it's a high stress environment, and just throw someone in that you're losing money. Like,
yes,
and
very much so.
And for Ted, that's fine. Well, it's not fine, but he can take that risk because he's trying to teach his son a lesson. He's not thinking about that. Bobby will lose money and could potentially lose the business or his stake in the business.
Yeah,
I could be fine with it if he was like, you're gonna work at the restaurant and you're gonna do whatever Bobby and the guy you just fired said.
Exactly. Rehire Emilio and you make him a busboy.
Yeah, like that would be different. But to be like, you're going to replace the sous chef who does all the middle management so you can learn a lesson. Like, that's something I could see Ted doing, but it makes it makes it a very frustrating thing to watch, especially because they're rushing Chain's character development. This would be something that would require like a couple episodes, but they're trying to be episodic with a lot of the details in these episodes, so they don't get a lot of time. And somebody mentioned this, and I couldn't put it into words until somebody else said it, but a lot of the resolutions of each episode just seem really rushed. Like they just push past the conflict that's supposed to be there.
You 100%, yeah.
The idea that's like, they're now locked in the basement, and they have to wait for Emilio, and they have this whole like conversation about like it turns out Chang proposed and in a complete panic, and it's like, okay, I guess that's like, yeah, they solved the situation in it's like stereotypical, we solved the situation in 30 minutes or less.
Also, just screw that moment, having Chang propose. Like, it's not like I'm a fan of Chain, but I hate when a show has a clear vendetta against a character. It's like, oh, we want to make him look pathetic. So, they broke up, even though he was the one who wasn't reciprocating Connie's feelings. Like they broke up, so suddenly
Yeah.
he's like, oh, Connie's like, oh, I guess he'd never been rejected before, which she spent her entire childhood rejecting him.
Exactly.
And suddenly
Yeah.
he's like, I'm in love, marry me. I'm like, no, okay, again, a clear vendetta. There's a clear vendetta there that they try to rush out, and it's to me, it's very blatant.
Well, you see, the audience hated Chang, so we must now hate Chang as the writers, and
That's that. I honestly felt that's how they handled Khan in season 14.
oh,
Like
yeah.
they were just like, the audience hates him, so we're allowed to do whatever. I still felt like somebody had a vendetta, like they specifically wanted to take it out on Khan, but they thought it was okay because Khan is generally seen as like someone the audience is supposed to either hate or laugh at, because there are a lot of jokes at Khan's expense.
Not realizing
Yeah.
that the reason that it's like that is to, like, they do that like just because the audience is supposed to dislike him doesn't mean the show itself is supposed to dislike him.
Exactly.
Because again, if we're to sort of go with the idea that these aren't just characters in a television show, these are people living their lives. So it's like this idea that his life just completely fell apart, and then we get into so Khan and Min did have my favorite joke of that episode, and that's when it's like, oh, they did a hard launch. I wonder why. No, damn you, Bobby Hill. Like that was probably my favorite joke in the entire episode. Let's see. Oh, do you have another point?
No, I was just gonna say Care for the Dog is the next episode, but
Yeah.
if you've got notes, we can go off of those.
So my notes for that one is I'm just gonna say the harsh thing. That dog is like what 10 years old. He's allergic to the
Yeah.
sun. He's it's like he has to have like a bunch of medicines. Can't look it in the eye. I think that just might be a dog that you might need to put out of its misery, because that's to foster that kind of dog. That's a huge responsibility, and it's just, and I know that's the point they're going for, is that like Hank still was not over the idea of losing Ladybird, so the idea of like we're gonna have this new dog and it's probably gonna die in like a couple years. It's like that's what they were going for. I just don't. On a subjective level, I just don't agree with it. But that's because like this animal is clearly suffering. Its
So I don't know
existence is
how-
pain.
I don't know how much of suffering I can see from it, because I felt like the point of the episode was that Hank was willing to put the resources into making its final years as comfortable as possible. And Hank has the resources to do that. He's considered wealthy now in the show, so he doesn't mind making his dog's final years comfortable. My issue with this episode, oh no, you had an add-on?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and I guess to play devil's avocado, just for a little, just for a bit. I also don't, considering that the dog in and of itself, aside from those issues, and while those issues are, you could argue, detrimental, it's not like it has difficulties moving around, right? Like it's not like it's. I mean, yeah, it's one of those genetic
can't eat solid food
abominations.
anymore. Like he's
Yeah, can't eat solid. Well, I mean, that's a very easily mendable thing. Like just feed it soft food. I don't know. I can see both sides of the argument. Personally, I wouldn't. But that's just me.
If it's suffering, like I can understand the putting it down.
Yeah.
To
the
me,
way
it
they
felt
were
like
describing felt like it was suffering. Sorry, that might be an interpretation thing. I'll admit.
To me, it felt like it could suffer if it didn't have the right owner, but Hank and Peggy
Yes.
were willing to put in what they needed to so it didn't suffer. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can see them doing that. But this episode, well, first of all, for anybody who needs a reminder, A plot, B plot. One plot is taking care of the dog. The other plot is Bobby getting along with the Super Nuisancepones as Connie's official boyfriend. With the dog plot, this is where I started to notice a problem I have with this season. And I don't really want to describe it as a problem, but that's the best way I can put it, which is that so many people were like, this finally happens in this season. and they praise it happening. They don't look at how it's happening. They just praise it happening. This episode addresses Hank's feelings towards Ladybird and the fact that he lost her. And I think the way they do it is fine, but I don't think it's super praiseworthy compared to like the best episodes of the original show or even the season 14. Like, I think it's
Yeah.
fine. I don't think they do anything wrong with it. I just don't think it should be heralded as super high up just because they did it. It's like he goes to her grave and he talks and he asks her permission to replace her. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice. That's fine. But it's not super praiseworthy. And there's a lot of things in this season that happen where so many people come and say it's praiseworthy for happening. And I'm like, no, they could have done it better.
No, yeah,
they're-
just because a thing happens, yeah, it's not like that's not praiseworthy by itself. Like, because then otherwise
they're
you
obviously they're obviously modern MCU fans.
I was about to say, yeah, well, actually, I was just about to make that joke, like, oh yeah, he did the thing, so that's like that alone is worthy of praise. Nah, so that's fair. I will admit I did get a tiny bit teary-eyed when I saw Ladybird's grave, but I think that was more just thinking about. I was thinking about the rest of the show, essentially. I was thinking about all
Yeah.
the moments he's had. The rabies episode with Bandit is like one of the most heart-wrenching episodes, especially for Hank, when he turns on the saw just to have a moment to essentially cry about possibly like losing his dog. Like, and
Yeah.
isn't and like I know it's been a few years, but now as like my own solo dog owner, like it's like, oh, that's rough.
I see what
Yeah.
you did there. There are two reasons why that moment hits you with the Ladybird. It's because you're either thinking of Hank and Ladybird in past episodes, or you're thinking of your relationship with a dog you know. So that's why it hits harder.
Exactly.
And again, I want to make sure I'm making this clear. It's not bad. I'm not saying they did a bad job. I just don't think it's as praiseworthy as the best King of the Hill episodes out there, just because they finally did it.
True.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. That's kind of all. Like, care of the dog. Like, that's kind of the only two real thoughts I have about it. I actually had completely forgotten about. Oh, that's right. The Chang, not the Chang, with the Bobby trying to impress Connie on her birthday. I will say it now reveals like just how absolutely shit Con and Min have become towards each other, and it's just like because Con's living with Bill now, and they're trying to upstage each other to the point that they like that Connie can't even be in the same fucking room as her dad, that's just shitty in and of itself. And then it's like then Connie even go like I can't tell. Oh, not even I can't tell. It's one of those things of when Con steals Bobby's gift idea, that is kind of in character, but at the same time is like I think he would have enough sense not to do that.
I
Yeah.
think, okay, so first of all, Con living with Bill, that is a guilty pleasure because I don't think Con would do that. I do not think Con, even at his lowest, would live with Bill. Like, my goodness gracious. But I like that he's doing that. I would think that would be good for him as a person to live with another divorced person. And I like how they handle it in future episodes. So definitely a guilty pleasure. As I've said, I hate that the Super Nuisanpones hate each other. That makes no sense to me. And this episode sealed that for me, because when I reviewed season 14, I was saying, oh, I don't believe that they fell out of love because they were so in love in the original series, and people were saying there are more reasons to get divorced than falling out of love, Shady. And I was like, yeah, I probably should have mentioned that, but I just got the vibe that they hated each other because of how they were treating each other in season 14. This season
Confirms that.
confirms that. Yeah, they freaking hate each other, and I don't know why. Like, they act like they've always hated each other, and I'm like, that's just not the case. And this episode was very frustrating because I was just like, you guys, the lesson here should be that even if I can accept that you hate each other, the lesson should be that you're willing to put Connie first. And Con was willing to do that. To give the episode credit, that's the lesson Bobby teaches Con, that he should put Connie first. But then Min comes along and she's still awful.
Min's just a
Yeah.
bitch. Like
And
to
I'm like,
put
what
it,
are they doing with this character? Like, why is she so awful?
yeah, to put it bluntly, Min's just a bitch. Like throughout,
She
like
is
throughout
just
this
terrible.
episode and then the rest of the fucking season, like because to quickly talk about the poetry episode, she immediately posted on social media like she was like trying to give away that she was trying to get a fucking hookup. Like it was insane. Like she hates him with everything she's got.
My hatred of John Redcorn has been replaced with my hatred of Min. And I liked Min in the original. Like, Min
Yeah.
was one of the funniest jokes in the original show, where Peggy has to choose between Connie and Bobby, and she's like, "That's not my problem. Choose Connie." I love that joke so much. And she's like,
oh,
she's
that's right. Yeah,
always-
choose Connie. Choose Connie.
she was always a blunt person who put her wants like above what was going on. But there wasn't this hatred, except for like towards the later seasons, where for some reason she just starts hating Bobby. Like Con's hatred just bled into her for some reason, where she just starts hating Bobby in the hills. But even still, it doesn't compare to what they have now, where she's this hatred just infests her, and she points it all at Con. I'm like, why? What did he do? Like, it's that old what's that show called? The Boondocks joke. It's like,
Yeah.
and I was just thinking, man, what did that dude do to make her so angry?
we watched that. I watched that clip last night too.
What did he do? Oh god, talk about a show I haven't seen in such a long time.
I genuinely feel for Min that someone is using her as a self-insert, because she is acting stereotypically divorced to the point that her character doesn't make sense with the previous character. And like I said, it felt like somebody had a vendetta against Con. I feel that less in this season because they seem to be giving him some good character development, but it's still like there's still that feeling in the air where someone is like using him as a punching bag.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, like the more you've brought that to my attention, it's like, yeah, what the fuck would cause their divorce? Because
Do we ever learn, or is it just that they got
Nah,
sick
just-
of each other?
it just happened.
They
I-
the implication that they're throwing in this season, they could still change this, but the implication is that they never really loved each other. Because in the anniversary episode, Min specifically says, "I got married when I was your age," and Connie says, "Well, maybe I don't want to make the same mistakes you made," insinuating that she felt forced to get married because that's what you did back then. You just got married to a guy, and she's never liked it. And there's also in this season, this is not absolute. This barely qualifies as evidence. It's more headcanon than anything. But Min says for the first time in years, she's liked a guy. And I'm like, I know she's been divorced from Con for 2 years, so that's not technically longer, but I feel like she's trying to say like years, like decades ago. But again, I don't have absolute proof of that. So it seems to me like they're trying to say they were never really happy as a couple, but they don't show any inciting incident as of yet.
Yeah, and even then it'd be like, what inciting incident would they even have that would cause them to get divorced? Because if it was like the idea that like Con cheated, for example, one, that not only is that not said, I also just wouldn't flat out believe that Con would do something like this, especially if like with everything that has happened. If I had to guess, if we were to put like extenuating circumstances on it, maybe putting Connie through college financially kind of just finally broke them as people. But like we don't see that. Like Connie seems to be doing just fine and probably has like hundreds of scholarships. Like
Yeah, she would have gotten a full ride easy.
To the college she went to, yes. If she had went to Harvard like they had originally planned, I could maybe see them struggling. But the college that they went to, yeah, she should have like a full ride scholarship. And Squirrel Tactics brings this up in his video. Min comes from money. Her family is super rich, which is why he mentions that he thinks she was planning. She had a plan for a divorce because there's a little clue that says she has a separate bank account from Khan. So I can't really see her struggling with money to that degree. Like if
Yeah.
it was because there are times in the old show where they're like they show they're not the richest couple, but they don't struggle with money. In fact, they indulge themselves a lot. That's one of the jokes of the Super Nusipons is that they buy a lot of extravagant things to seem wealthy. So I
And they
I don't
clearly have
know.
enough to invest in a business. Like the car wash episode is one of my favorite episodes in the entirety of King of the Hill. Like they are well enough that they can make those kinds of risks and it not immediately kill them. Like financially, I mean. So to just believe that they do this is like, yeah, it's just still just not believable.
Give me 30 seconds. I gotta grab some water.
They're fine.
I forgot to shill this on my channel. There.
Oh yeah, you better shill this. I don't even know where I was
So
going
the
with
thing
that
is,
sentence.
like-
I'm just looking at my coffee. It's like that was a horrible sentence, and I should be ashamed
Well, the
of
thing
myself.
is, right, like, apparently YouTube has this thing when it comes to posts and comments is that it will de-incentivize them if you post a link to a thing. So I had to, like, go over at Real Yard, just had to, like, to tag your channel. So
I hate this platform so much.
I know, man.
Why will there
man.
never like the fact that there's no one's even considering making a competitor is one of the most bizarre things because then you could is this like you have the whole thing of like with Kick and Rumble, their whole deal is like, yeah, we're an alternative to Twitch, like regardless of the who actually ends up going there, like that's just what they are.
YouTube acts as an alternative for other platforms, but for some reason, everybody's afraid to step on YouTube's toes. Like you could use YouTube as an alternative to Twitch, but not the other way around, or an alternative to TikTok, but not the other way around. And
Exactly.
there was that recent thing. I don't remember who it was, but that one YouTuber who went over to Netflix recently, and YouTube released a statement like they're bribing YouTubers to not go over to Netflix.
What?
Oh,
A YouTuber went over to Netflix. Like the only thing that comes to mind is Mr. Beast, but he's still just posting his stuff. Who are you talking about? It's not coming to mind.
I don't know. I just saw it briefly when I was scrolling on Twitter. It's just like YouTube is paying people to not go over to Netflix like such and such YouTuber.
Oh wow.
Wow. That's
Uh,
because what are our options? BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble. And the less said about Rumble, the better.
Meanwhile, like the only competition I've ever seen YouTube like properly have is Daily Motion. Like that's the only thing that comes to mind. Like, cause
No,
like-
Blip.tv. We can't forget about
No.
Blip.tv.
Blip.tv died the moment it was created because the moment they could head over to YouTube back after the fucking adpocalypse, they jumped ship immediately.
That's a good little, sorry, we got a bit distracted. Are we on to the next episode?
Searching for Bobby Fischer. Yeah, we can move on to that unless anyone's got any last little notes about Care of the Dog.
Nothing I can think of.
Caesar did grow on me a little bit in that episode. I kind of went going, oh, it's one of these dogs too. You know what? This tiny dog, that's willing to like attack an intruder. I like it. I can like him.
If the owners like him, then I'm fine with it. Like, I was
Yeah.
annoyed at the beginning because Hank clearly didn't like the dog, and Peggy said she would take care of it, and then
And
she
she
was
do shit.
asking Hank to, like, she took care of it somewhat, but then she specifically told Hank you won't even notice him. I'll do all the work, and then she asked Hank to do some of the work. I'm like, that's not what you agreed to.
Dude,
But him growing on Hank I'm like, okay, well, if the owners like taking care of them, then I've got no problem with it.
Yep. I have a lot of complaints with Peggy, but we will get to that when we get to that.
Yeah. So searching for Bobby Fischer. So man,
Which which
the one we know that Hank knows how Mexican bail works. I just don't believe he'd
yeah.
fall for this scam in general. Hank can be naive at times, especially when it comes to technology. I don't think he'd fall for this.
So I'm not going to argue either which way, whether or not he would or he wouldn't. But the episode does bring out the point that Hank feels he only fell for this because Bobby was continuously messing up and he thought this was just another notch. So he instinctively went to help Bobby. If he was, the episode tries to say that if he didn't know it was, if it wasn't Bobby, he would have second guessed it. But the episode also says he's kind of using that as a cop out.
Right.
So I can't really argue either which way personally. I feel like there's a world where he could, a world where he couldn't. I would need somebody else to push it.
I would so I could believe him getting fooled by AI because that's even I get fooled by it from time to time. In particular, there was this YouTube channel that has that looks like it has like a caracal. The guy has a pet caracal, and it's like, oh, okay. And then the more you watch it, the more you realize this is AI because the caracal is just doing exactly what the guy says, and that's just not how they operate. So I could buy him. Getting fooled by AI. It's just the way that they did it when it's like Bobby getting put in Mexican jail, and especially the way that Bobby was talking, how it's like there's like no inflection or whatsoever. It's not talking like Bobby.
Yeah, it's that idea. It's like you've spent so long, you would know how like what he sounds like over the phone and like how he
and
talks.
Also I think Hank would know that unless maybe I'm misremembering the episode. I think Hank would know that AI does exist.
Well, he was overseas.
He was overseas.
And away from like a lot of modern culture.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. Saudi Arabia is very restrictive.
Now I think to poke a hole in what I just said, I think he's supposed to have been he's supposed to have been back for at least a year now. I'm not sure because Bobby is still 21, so it should be less than a year. But in a later episode, Hank says, "Do you remember when this happened last year?" As if he was there. So I'm like, I guess he's supposed to have been here for at least a year. But yeah, he was overseas for a long time. So even if he knew about AI, he might not know like how advanced it is.
True, but I think there should have been an inclination of like something is off.
Him falling. Yeah, it's the fact he falls for it hook, line, and sinker instead of being hesitant, and then they pull like one of the common tactics that these scammers do, and that's the urgency of it. He could have made it seem like, oh no, like they look like they're about to kick the shit out of me. Well, of course, without using that kind of language, because I think at the end of the day, this is still PG-13.
My brain is playing devil's advocate, like for both points. There was the thing about how because I'm remembering where he got scammed by the dude who's teaching him how to not get scammed, and he's like, "But I trust you," and I'm like, "Yeah, that is kind of something Hank would do. If you're selling him something, he does kind of trust the people selling him things.
Yeah, he buys cars at sticker price.
Yeah, he thinks salesmen are supposed to be honorable, which is like the opposite of what most salesmen typically are. And also, my brain keeps going back to this scene. I don't know how relevant it is, but I feel like I have to talk about it. Where Debbie pretends to be an old lady, and she says she's talking to him on the phone, and she says, "Tell Peggy that Hank slept with Debbie." And Hank says, "Who is this?" And she just says, "It's Debbie." And then Hank says, "Put that old lady back on."
I forgot about that.
So like he's there. Hank can be gullible. Like I think there's an
He
argument
can
to be
be.
made he can be gullible. But I'm not gonna say they couldn't have presented it better.
One thing that it could have done, because what it sounded like, it was like an AI bot with Bobby's voice. If it was like an actual scammer that was using an AI filter, I think that would have been more believable, because it has like the human factor, the human cadence, and how a human would talk.
True, but we're used to AI.
Yeah,
So when we
like
hear something
I will
talk,
admit there is the age difference with us.
There is the age difference, yeah. So I guess that I wouldn't call it outright bad or unbelievable, just maybe a couple tweaks here and there.
I remember having somewhat issue with the ending. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to put together what my brain had.
He burned all of his stuff, and then he only came to his senses after that with the like fake Stallone that Bobby was doing.
Yeah, Bobby called him as Stallone, and then he came to realization when he checked for a certain piece of fact, and Bobby didn't know it. I remember having an issue with the ending, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm not a fan of Connie then being like, let's do Jackie Chan on my dad, but that's just a mean-spirited joke. It's not necessarily anything wrong with it. I just sometimes don't like mean-spirited jokes.
Yeah,
fair enough. Fair enough. Jake, don't check your mail. There's a pipe bomb.
Why do you have to tease me like that? You know, I've been wishing for the sweet embrace of oblivion.
So,
I was gonna say the thing that kind of made me mad when just burning all that stuff was his number one employee thing. He would not burn that. There's no way Hank Hill would burn like proof of his hard work.
Even after after the falling out with Buck, yeah, I can believe he'd just be like, no, this is a cherished thing. And also, if you went, it's giving me reminders of the insurance episode where like he was pretty, in this case with the AI stuff, he was pretty far gone. That's like, I would imagine if you have Hank Hill burn all of his information, that I don't know, like I don't think it's the point of no return, but it gets suspiciously close for him, because like he's not like Dale. Like he will fall for schemes or like little like the Y2K stuff. He'll fall for stuff for instances, but he normally comes to his senses rather quickly.
I mean, with Y2K, he didn't fall for Y2K until like everything around him was pointing it to it being a thing.
Yeah, everything had to break in order for him to finally sort of snap for a little bit.
But like all in all, I don't have that much of an issue with this one. I can see people having an issue with it, but like I would be fine with leaving it in. Yeah, leaving it in the show.
Let's see. And then okay, so this is the episode. So episode 4, Hank Encounters with the Nerd Kind. I just fundamentally do not agree with most of. Well, first off, we have this whole episode about him being scammed and him like not falling for it, and the first thing he does is fall for a scam. Like, so it's one of those things of like, yeah, the episode is it's they're trying to be more episodic, I guess, but in this case, it just shows that like, oh, I guess the last episode didn't count then, because you got tricked so easily. And then my bigger issue, I really did not like how he just disliked nerd culture so much that he said the end break the cycle of abuse. I was just like, dude, like, for everything that Hank Hill is, I don't think he would have such a visceral reaction to something like this, especially as Jake was bringing up while we were taking our notes, especially after all these years of raising Bobby. And then, like, so that's 2 points. And then my third point is, this is just throughout the season, he's made a lot of jabs at Bobby's expense, which I've thought has always been a bit weird. Like, so that's its own separate points. Would either of you like to tackle, like, we can tackle 1 and 2 first.
If Hank Hill like absolutely fell in love with that one sci-fi movie, and to the point where he made the weapon from the movie, like down to like the finest details, and into the point where he's like, actually no, this is the hieroglyphs for this alien species ancestors, like to the point where he's like the like super nerd guy. I think Hank would have been a fan of sci-fi a lot sooner, with Bobby being a fan of this stuff, and inevitably he would have taken Bobby to maybe see one of the movies or watch one of them with him while it was on TV or something.
So I have a huge rant with this episode, but I want to try to stick to the topics that you were going on. I'm probably going to make a video on this episode because I hate this episode.
Such
fair
a
enough.
hate-worthy episode. It's such like
It's-
this. We like because we love to just pause and have little rants as we watch these things. I think it took us like an hour and a half to get to this episode, and we had like virtual company because we were hanging out with like a new friend, and then and my girlfriend was there. And she didn't know anything about King of the Hill, so to see both Jake and I just spurg out like this, it's just like, all right, I get it. Like, what's happening here?
Some people have asked me to review this episode because they were like, they thought I would agree with it because I did a Fillmore video about how you should be empathetic to geeks and understand that to them, this stuff is important. This episode really grinds my gears. Hate might be a strong word, but there are things in it I absolutely hate. But to again stick to the topic, I think one of the big things they did wrong with this episode is they took Hank from the original show and put him here, and because Hank from like 2010. Yeah, I could see him having, or 2005, 2010, somewhere along that era. Yeah, I could see him having this kind of reaction because, geek culture was a thing back then. But for like boomers to go to a convention, I could definitely see them having this kind of reaction. But Hank having raised Bobby at this point, I can see him having a strong reaction, maybe not this strong. But I'd say that's probably a problem, but probably a lesser problem in my experience. In my opinion, I have a bigger problem with the episode. But I do agree that it is kind of ignoring the tone of the previous episode to have him get scammed immediately again in this episode. I think that's something Hank might have fallen for, but it does work poorly with the previous episode where he's learning not to get scammed.
And then also, like, so to the boomer comment, I can kind of believe it, but it's also one of those things where so the problem being is like when like growing up, like, because we would assume Hank grew up in the 70s, correct? Like with how old he is.
Original Hank was a boomer. This one's a Gen X.
Yeah, this one's because the weird sliding time scale.
Okay, so if we were to assume so if he's Gen X, that's different. If we were going to go with his original boomer thing, it'd be one of those things of like, okay, Hank, I understand like conventions would weird you out, but towards sci-fi in general, he would have been around during the craze of when Star Wars originally came out, which I know probably didn't hit as hard with Texas, but it still had enough cultural significance that I doubt he would still have this reaction.
Well, he's a jock, and he endorses bullying, so he picked on people who like Star Wars. Sorry, I shouldn't say he was a jock as if that's
no,
all
it's not.
jocks pick on people.
He
was a
understand what you're saying.
stereotypical jock.
Well, the same thing. He was also bad at bullying. You are fat. Like he's the fucking the flashback of him bullying me. No, so fair. So it might be a gross exaggeration because when you hear about like our parents' generation reacting to the original Star Wars, they make it seem like the second coming of Christ. had happened. Like, it was this generational touchstone. And to be fair, there's evidence to kind of prove it only with, like, the footage, like, outside of theaters at the time. It's only now that we're just like, oh, yeah, it's Star Wars. So I guess that Hank would have that sort of reaction.
And also, as the internet becomes more prominent, geek culture becomes less isolating. So it's like, geeks were the big punching bags of the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. And then the 80s, the geek culture kind of started to shift more towards their favor. And then the 80s and 90s started pushing, like, being an outcast is cool, actually. And then 2000s, the geeks started becoming more and more mainstream in pop culture.
Yeah.
So Hank, having grown up in the boomer time period, like I said, they took that Hank and brought him here, where it makes sense that someone who grew up in that time period and didn't take time to appreciate it or even go near it, all they did was bully people who went near it. It would make sense for them to have this visceral reaction to be like, you're this much of a geek and you're never going to have kids. I have kids. Well, they're never going to have kids. Like, yeah, I could believe 2005 Hank would say that. Not 2026 Hank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so no, now I want to hear what's the big rant that you would have about this episode.
So, like, I vehemently despise that this dude took a VIP pass from someone who paid for it, and everyone supported him. I hate that so much.
Oh yeah, it was everybody versus Hank when it's just like. Meanwhile, like, as you brought up with, like, this is an older Hank, it's like, I would imagine he would go, no, I don't hate you because you're a nerd and you're doing this kind of stuff. You stole something from me. Now give it back before I kick your ass.
The people might hate Hank. They might dislike Hank. But I'm like, maybe I just don't understand nerds and geeks like I used to. Like, would they side with a guy who stole a VIP pass? Like, I've seen so many geeks gang up on convention rule breakers, like, online. Like,
it becomes an invasion of the body snatchers when you see somebody break con rules, because that's normally, because when you affect con rules, that means either something's going to be different next year or they might not come back next year. It's like how I remember I read this like a couple years ago. My hometown of Kansas City. Kansas City Comic-Con, they were like, you know what? You can't bring weapons now as part of your costume. And it's like, oh, so, you know, it's like, if it resembles, like, they were even bringing it up to, like, even, like, Jedi cosplayers. Like, you can't bring the lightsaber. And it's like, oh, so, like, you just killed the entire cosplay scene of the convention. Like, this is effectively what you have done. So for somebody to steal somebody's pass, yeah, that guy probably would have gotten jumped.
The guy steals a VIP pass and then tries to use fiction rules to be like, oh, you've insulted my honor. It's like, no, you are taking a real world problem and establishing fiction rules to try to fix it. And everybody sides with him. I'm like, this is okay. I'm a geek and you are making us look awful. Like, this is so awful.
You're making us look like we're out of touch with reality.
We're a bunch of fucking deluded people who can't understand the difference between fiction and reality.
Yeah,
also, it's just straight up victim mentality. He said something mean, so I'm allowed to steal from him because he doesn't deserve this VIP pass. He's like, do you know how hard these are to get and it's wasted on him? I'm like, he didn't buy the freaking pass. His son did. Like, what are you doing? His boss did. His boss in this situation bought him a pass so he could earn money. And you have the gall to steal it from him so you and your family can have a little bit more fun. Oh my goodness.
What lesson are you teaching your children in that instance?
Yeah, you're teaching them that stealing is okay, because as long as you're stealing from the right people. That is horrible.
That is awful episode.
And then going to the security guy, going like, oh, he broke the honorable rules. He did what? Oh, we better go find him. And it's just like, what? No, he stole something. Why are
Hank has to make it up to him. Hank has to go and spend his time watching this fictional movie, making sword using real material to make this sword to